Hey, Jason Rice with LotParty now. Every Monday, new episodes. Don't miss it. Autotainmentnetwork.com, or you can go to LotParty.net to go directly to it. Every Monday, new episodes. And this week is episode 13. And I'm excited about this one. One of my favorite guys to interview or talk to, even, and just hang out. Leighton Judd from Three Birds. He's also going to have Jeff Brooks from his company speaking to us. And last week I did just talking about a basic foundation in internet sales process, and to get that structure there before you talk about doing social SEO, SEM stuff. So get that foundation in. Check out that episode if that's something you need to work on. But this is for the dealers that already have that foundation and want to get better. So it's going to be able to take a good dealer or an average dealer to be good and a good dealer to be great. Because this is a little bit of an extended episode. I think we run 40 minutes because we just couldn't stop talking. Great interview about that deeper dive. It made me stop and think about all the potential that dealers have out there. And like I said, it's a great interview. Check it out. And then again, every Monday, Lot Party, 3-day weekend. Check out the next episode. We'll see you at NADA 2. I actually will be there as a guest at the V Auto booth. So if you'd like to meet me or talk about, or maybe even have an interview for an upcoming show, meet me at the V Auto booth at the NADA this coming weekend. Again, enjoy the show and see you in the following week. Hey, Jason Rice here with LotParty. I'm excited about this interview. One of my favorite guys in the car business, Leighton Judd's joining us, along with Jeff Brooks from Three Birds Marketing. And last week's show, I wanted to scratch the surface about having a basic foundation for our internet processes. You know, as we're building exposure on our new cars and used cars, we want to be able to drive some traffic. But all that traffic is pointless if we don't have some kind of follow-up process to follow up with those deals, maintain them, and then keep working them till they buy, die, or unsubscribe. So I gave you a little bit of a tip on how to build some kind of structural foundation on your internet process. But today, talking to Three Bird Marketing, I want a deeper dive into what's going on. What ways can we do, now that we have a foundation built, what ways can we dig deeper? And talking to Leighton, a digital dealer, man, these guys are doing some deep things to different perspective, packaging things together, allow dealerships to get to that next level. I did limit him. I say, hey, I'm not here to do commercials, but I want dealers to know, one, what they should or shouldn't be doing if Three Birds can and can't help them with that. But the other thing is, so either use their system to do it or not, but you need to be doing this type of thing. And then three, to be able to, or one of those reasons I have them on, and then another reason is just to let you know what technology is actually out there that dealers might not even know exist. And I know Leighton's taking this to the next level where there's companies not doing the things that they're doing. So that's why I was real anxious to do this interview. So Leighton, Judd, I want to introduce both you and Jeff. Leighton, take turns, introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background, how long you've been in business, and really what got you to where you're at right now. So Leighton, how about?
Well, thank you very much for having us on. We're excited to be here. I'm Leighton Judd. I'm one of the founders of Three Birds Marketing. We've been in business since 2009. I've been in the automotive industry since the beginning of the internet from 1999. Started a company back then called Ismail Cars, and then I founded this company with my business partner, Kristen Judd, and we've been at it since 2009. And why we started this company was the premise that I believe and we believe that dealers deserve more in the way that they're looking at their data and their marketing, that it's not happening in the way that it should at a dealership. It's very one-dimensional, and it's one-dimensional coming out of a tool usually that's a CRM, which I'm not saying a CRM is one-dimensional. I'm just saying that it's not doing everything that it needs to do when it's looking at the data and the information that needs to come out to market to different groups effectively. But we started this company based on that premise. We're excited where we are today and what we have coming out and where we're going, because in 6 years of being in business, we now touch over 4,500 dealerships overall in different levels of our platform. And it's not they're on one thing; they're on multiple different things, and that's something that we can talk about as we go through. But I want to introduce Jeff Brooks, who basically runs our products and is in charge of the product at Three Birds.
So Jeff, tell us about yourself. Yeah.
Jeff Brooks' background started in the automotive industry actually as a marketing intern about 12 years ago. Been in sales, F&I, sales management. I'm kind of into my retail career, running e-commerce and operations for Asbury Automotive Group. I've been with Three Birds for a little over 2.5 years, and more on the product side. So I try and bring my retail knowledge to our products along with the technical side, and really provide dealers with a product that's well-rounded and accomplishes their needs today.
And, that's good to hear and refreshing to hear, because a lot of times, dealing with vendors that are out there, especially on the internet end, it's good to hear that somebody that you're dealing with on the vendor end has actually been in their shoes and done what they're doing and trying to accomplish. So it's good to hear, companies out there that have people that have been in the trenches that can associate with it, because a lot of times, there's companies out there that does a company and try to, wedge themselves into this need out there, but never really been through the trenches with these dealers. So it's good to hear both of you on that, because I know Leighton, going back to Ismo Cars, these websites back in those days, that was the forefront of the internet, and you've been there from the beginning. So both of you guys, I appreciate your time here and giving us your insight. So, before we started here, we kind of talked a little bit about what you guys do and provide. And one of the things that, dealerships, as they get these processes, because I tell dealers, social's the big thing, SEO, SEM's a big thing, and that kind of marketing. But man, a lot of these dealers jump on these bandwagons without even having a basic process down. So again, that's why I wanted to cover last week. So now, assuming that dealers have this process down, that they're following up with leads and now want to expand this and maybe get back off of the third-party lead providers and start generating traffic to their own site and be able, because we all know that those are better leads, better closing percentages, and our bucks are better spent, and it's usually a less cost per sale. So one of those ways, I guess, and maybe I'm leading it the wrong way, but one way to introduce is kind of maybe email marketing. You got this database of leads that you can do some branding or email marketing out to. What's examples out there that dealers can start utilizing? And again, something that you provide and something that's out there that dealers should be doing.
That's all to you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. So great question. One of not just speaking of Three Birds and what we do, but I think a foundational piece of basic dealership marketing is, using your database and providing messages to customers that are relevant to their needs, whether that's looking at their buying habits or looking at what they currently own and providing a trade-in offer. But it's simply putting something in front of them that kind of creates that action, something that they can see and click on. And really, we focus highly on the mobile aspect of that and making sure everything is responsive, making sure everything looks proper and perfect on every mobile device that's out there, because the stats are clear that's where everyone looks.
It's about 60% of our people that open up are opening up on a mobile device, and so if we don't take that into what we're trying to accomplish, the message is going to get lost. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that we take that design element into our product and say, okay, instead of designing it for the desktop like we used to in the past, or like that, I remember joking around and saying, it's on 800 screen because that was set for the DMSs at the day.
Yeah.
When it was, it was 1260. Now it's even higher. So there's all different parameters now, what they are, but really it's actually gotten smaller because it's that mobile application. And so that's what we have to make sure that we have the right calls to action, and when we're designing and looking at the processes, that those processes meet the needs of the consumer about where they're interacting with you, because you're opening up and where I could spend hours talking about it, and I know we only have a set amount of time. You know me well enough, I can go on different tangents, but the thing that you opened up with me is the fact that dealerships today have to worry about not just what the individual process is at the store, which they have to have down, they have to have the consumer's life cycle process down as well. Yeah. And that's something that we don't talk about. We're not talking about, here it is, we have all this social interaction, and what does that mean? And so we have all these leads. You talk about first, the basic getting website leads. I agree with you in concept. Sure. That's what a dealer should close. But the reason why I agree with you on concept, because that's the natural progression of a sales.
Going after the fresh stuff, not working the old stuff, right?
What I was saying is that if consumers are still going to go through the processes, I believe that if you have the right process, any lead's a good lead.
Well, here, hold on. Before we go any further, because I know you're gonna be dipping into social and stuff and talking about that, but let's go back a little bit to the email marketing. And one of the things that kind of dawned on me, and I think there's a lot of talk out there for websites to be responsive, right? To be able to shape to customers on tablets, to their phones and everything else. Is there enough talk about the email campaigns and even just regular email templates and stuff being responsive and things like that?
Are you caught or what are you doing here?
What's that?
Are we going through the process here?
Well, that you talked about part of that process is okay, great. We're going to do templates and everything else, but this whole responsive part, is there enough talk? You guys deal with this more than I would on the industry. Is people talking about responsive follow-up, not just responsive sites?
You opened up these sites because you're talking about a one-dimensional thing. The website in itself is a one-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is everything has to go to the website. Well, that's not true anymore.
Yeah.
If you look at social in different areas where people hang out, there's content that lives in different areas where people can interact. You've got to allow the people to interact the way that they want to interact with you. Mm-hmm. It's not just the website anymore, and that's where, whether it's out in the middle of some site that's an enthusiast site, or whether it's on, a third-party site, or whether it's on a dealership site, or whether it's on an OEM site, or whether it's through an email, or whether it's through a Facebook, you have that content that allows you to convert wherever there is, and that's where the consumer wants to convert. So the concept of just driving everyone to a website, albeit I agree and understand why we do that.
Yeah.
It's about the totality of where that content sits in the marketing. It starts with email. It starts with a lot of different things when you get down to it. So getting the message and driving it from where you're driving, where the customer wants to interact with.
No, and then my point on that was, there's talk about responsive websites, and not to talk about websites, but just our overall marketing. Is there enough talk to make sure that our marketing's responsive to, because a lot of guys spend money or make their own templates up and blast it out, thinking but again, is it responsive? Is it going to lay out in their phone or their tablets, and then that same ad so is there enough talk in the industry to say, hey, dealer, if you're going to do this, don't just do it in the way you think it could be done. It's got to all line up the way the customers are shopping and be similar format and all ways that customers are shopping socially, phone, tablet, website, whatever, right? Is there enough talk about that and dealers paying attention to that?
I'd say the answer is not. The website side is one thing. Most website writers now are responsive. But on the email side, from my past history, the emails that we created and the system we use, absolutely not responsive. And quite frankly, we never even tested to see what they look like on browsers and different internet providers.
Blasted it out.
It's just stuff dealers don't really understand.
And they don't understand transactional versus bulk.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation about a transactional line and a bulk line. The largest CRM in the world is a SaaS platform called Salesforce. You're limited on a daily basis how many transactional emails that you can send out a day, just like others. And so they basically put you on a runway in getting that out. And then there's what's called an IP health. And so when you start getting into the basics of the process, understand the systems about what you're trying to do. A CRM is a great tool. It's a tool of getting data into a system to be able to sit there and analyze for later. And it helps with the guidance of the processes that you're talking about, the processes in the store and how to follow up and do the different things. That tool doesn't necessarily the right tool to do for marketing on different levels of where to go. And so that's understanding that. So you have the largest CRM outside of our industry, Salesforce, who can sit there and say they went out and bought 2 other companies to come in and do the different types of marketing. Actually, they bought more than that to integrate into the CRM that allow them to reach out socially or reach out in email or reach out in SEM. They integrate differently into the core product of the CRM. We don't follow suit in this industry doing that, but going into email marketing is about setting up the structure of data and understanding where you want to send that message and to whom you want to send it and in what format.
And I could say that on a personal level with the company here, and again, that's another reason why I want to continue to talk with you is, I've looked at just for my own company, because again, I'm not a car dealer, so I'm not buying a Vin Solutions or an eLeads, but I'm looking for CRM type solutions that go, I can look at Infusionsoft, which to me, utilizing it is a great marketing tool, but not great on CRM. Then I can look at Salesforce, and Salesforce is a great CRM, but the marketing part, they shove out to like MailChimp and stuff. So and that's what dealers have got to understand. it's a yin or yang, or, you know, it's two different things. But I think, like you guys are talking here, is there a way to, you know, do you have to have two separate products, or can you combine that and so forth and have it consistent and not just, like you said, one-dimensional CRM? Now you got to have another one-dimensional marketing tool. Is there a way to kind of combine that? So again, what's available technology-wise out there for dealers? And I know you guys are dipping into this stuff and actually doing it. What's that next level then? Again, okay, we're talking about campaigns, email campaigns, but also socially and stuff like that. Can you guys touch on that? Again, how can you bundle this together to where you're just not, here's my CRM package, here's my marketing package, and things like that, and it being, like we were talking about earlier, just kind of all over the place? I'll let you guys take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it kind of back to the primary reason we're doing it is the customer experience. So you know, think of the emails that you get companies you've done business, all right, Nordstrom's or any retailer. You're not getting an email from you know Johnny, the sales guy that store. You're getting an email from Nordstrom design built basically by their creative department. That's their marketing emails, right? Mm-hmm. But better than them just looking good and being responsive, they're providing, you know, data or content that is actually based on what purchases you might have made or stuff that you're interested in. It's not just a, you know, blast to every person in your database that's just spray and pray. You know, we used to always throw it on the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. You know, so, you know, our technology is really built around, you know, targeting the right customer base for the right message, and then providing the right content inside of that message. So, you know, it's a fill the bucket with the right people, provide the right frequency of delivery, and then provide the right content.
But let me say something. But that bucket actually might only be a teacup,
right?
Meaning like very few, but there's many teacups that equal a bigger bucket. Because we're speaking on that teacup size, we get more consumption of that tea, meaning that we get more people interaction, that the result of the teacup is going to be much greater than a bucket. And so that's where we're starting to realize that when you look at the data and the data sets, you start looking at the totality of the life cycle. For example, how many dealers out there send the right messaging right after someone buys a vehicle? When is the biggest time to, that people defect? It's during that first year of the cycle of when they buy a new car, especially a new car, that when is it they're going to come in again? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it a year and a half that they come back to the dealership? And what are they coming back for? What is their driving cycle? If Jeff and I, we work at the same place. I live approximately 2 miles from the office, and Jeff lives 10 miles from this place, roughly. So if we were to walk into the dealership on the same day and buy from the same dealership a car, our driving experience is completely different to what our needs are. If we don't understand those needs, how can we communicate to you properly? How can we send the right message? Do you understand me? Do you understand what my needs are? There's so many other variables that come into play. The amount of miles that you drive just to and from work changes everything. So you have to look at this data in the totality to be able to say, all right, this is the message we need to send. We need to say, Jeff, you're in the higher bucket that's going to be for the sense that you're going to drive more miles. So that means that you're going to come into an oil change potentially in 4 months or 5 months late. You're going to be coming in around 8 months. That's when the message needs to go out. Oh, by the way, what is the experience of me when I first bought that vehicle? Do I understand everything about the vehicle? Do I understand about what my experience is around that vehicle? That is content as a consumer. The experience that Jeff mentioned is critical. It also goes back to the buying process as well. So it affects not just the service side, it affects the sales process as well. What is the process there? What is the messaging that you're trying to say? And Jeff, why don't you speak quickly about how inventory should be potentially handled?
Yeah, just the simple fact of putting actual inventory that's on your dealership's lot into your marketing messages is imperative.
Well, sure, that's what they're there to sell, yeah.
Exactly, that's what you're selling. If that's your product, right? So, whether that you're doing it through some other system or we have it built into our system where it's very easy to drag and drop and dynamic and sends to your website and all this kind of stuff, you got to start promoting what you sell and not just the plain text email with a random top cap and an ugly signature.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, but think about it. You opened a door that I didn't think about. When we, as maybe car dealers can understand in layman's term a bit is I remember setting up processes, and then as I get leads, I'm setting up processes and say, okay, this is a 30-day prospect, a 60-day prospect, 90-day prospect, and this is a trade prospect, this is a finance prospect, and I'm following up with them differently. But when we go into sales, it's, hey, you're getting a survey soon, hey, how's your anniversary doing, versus what you're talking about with these little teacups. I could say, hey, this guy's on a oil change cycle of 8 months, and having multiple processes on the service end, because ultimately what marketing would do is trying to drive our own internal customers back to our stores and not just keep buying more and more leads to make sales, because that's an endless cycle. You're always going to be out there trying to do that. But if you can ramp up and follow up differently for different clienteles, I mean, that opens up a whole other can of worms. Again, Leighton, you talking about that. I think dealers understand it on the sales process as I'm buying leads, putting this customer in this hole and that customer in that hole as I'm trying to sell them a car. But do we do the same thing on sold follow-up or service follow-up? I'm going to ask a softball question.
What is the best lead that you can get from the sales website, right?
Website.
Okay, isn't your best customer the one you sold, the retention rate, and going to keep coming back?
And that's the hardest part, is setting up that process, like you said, in those teacups. All right, so yeah, I mean, obviously the service and your sales customers are going to be the best way and the cheapest way, obviously, to get those sales. And so yeah, for you open up that door, man, it just really makes me start thinking. But again, you got a one-dimensional CRM if you want to start doing that kind of stuff, and then the challenge is do you have that service department doing it, or do you have a marketing type package that you can just set up and go?
Let me clarify something. CRM is an important tool in any business operation.
Sure.
So it's meant to be a tool of getting data into a system for something to happen. So that opens up, and I won't go hour talking about data and lack of being able to get that. That's a whole nother issue. But that being said, you have to market off the data that's going in there. So if you have something that's meant to be a data entry and a one-to-one transactional, how can you market things on the different things on the whole if you can't get at it?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't set it up. So we've figured out ways to do it, and there are others that are out there doing the same thing. It's about getting to that data to match the process that you want people to follow. So if you don't understand, to finish off what we started off in talking about, here's a process that we put in place. Well, we need to have something that's following that process from a marketing level too, so you can have a process either built around it or for that process.
Yeah. Well, then I want to open up this can of worm that you gave me at Digital Dealer that I start thinking about, and maybe this will lead into it. Maybe I should or shouldn't bring it up. But you asked me, what's the best third party or website out there doing long-term follow-up or sold follow-up, and I was guessing maybe something like a Costco or a Sam's Club, because they can, not only do they give you a lead, but they can do tires and oil changes and stuff at like a Sam's Club. So I thought maybe then, but you let me know that wasn't the case. Who was that out there that you said does that best follow-up as far as a term goes? And then you said that there wasn't dealers not doing that, and that's a huge miss for dealers.
It should be the dealership.
You would think so.
I mean, should it be the lot sold a customer? You're now my customer. Should we have a process about rebranding yourself? Now we have a local brand of what you do. And isn't the goal to sell them another car to different levels of bringing that customer back? Aren't you trying to your service phase and really try to get in on the other 2.3 of the cars in the household? Aren't you trying to get to that data? In that service of the process. That's the process. We talk about a sales process, but we stop when the car goes off the lot.
Yep.
But actually, the sales process should start and continue, and that goes through proper channel marketing and proper processes for the life cycle of a customer, and not just looking at it in one dimensional. So here it is, we're selling all these cars, life's good right now, right? So we're selling all these cars. What's going to happen? Who knows? I mean, is it going to drop next year? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But I've seen it go up and down. We sell a lot of cars, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, it goes down, and we got to start servicing again, and then we got to keep going like this. Shouldn't the conversation about treating the customer the same all the way through the process, whether you're selling a lot of cars or down, You're treating them the same throughout the full process, and that's with a great experience with the dealership, at the dealership, on the brand that they chose, so that they can stay in the brand, so the dealer and the OEM can make money, and at the same time provide a product and a service that the consumer loves and sits there and wants to rave about, because then it becomes social, and they start talking about it, and they start helping you market for yourself because the dealership takes care of you.
Sure.
The dealership becomes that dealership of old, the dealership in the community that stands up for everything, and the dealership in the community is actually online. The online community is much larger. So here it is. This is a footprint, if you have the right process and the right marketing about putting the right content in the right area, that you can become part of that community that's going to be a valuable asset for the consumer when they're trying to buy or service a vehicle.
Well, as a salesman, I'd sell cars, and you try to follow up with them, and obviously getting them back in, and you try to maybe get some information for the customers for referrals. Who do you know that might be next in line to get a new car, blah blah blah, and index cards back in the day. Now we got CRMs to do it, and it just part of me. We just went and leased a new car, and my 14-year-old daughter was with me. And as a salesman, if you're smart, you might obviously write that down as a note, knowing within the next year or two I'm going to be probably buying my daughter a car. But and to follow up with me with that. But even if they just followed up with me on the current car that I bought, that will obviously open the door for me to be using them as for my daughter's car. But that was just an easy tee up to me for that salesperson. So a lot of this data and everything that we want to drive, both on the service end and our sold, and even the current customers that we're driving in off website or whatever, social, it's up to that what's in, crap in, crap out, it is, so if that salesman didn't put anything in about my 14-year-old daughter or mentioned it, and even thought about putting it into a reminder a year from now to see if, we're going to be buying her a vehicle, that's the tough part, I think, with dealerships. But again, all they got to do really is just follow up with me with that car and earn my business, showing that they're really interested in maintaining my business. Then that opens the door for the rest. But go ahead.
But Jason, the interesting thing about today, the world we live in today, is scary too when I think about it. When I step back and I think personally about how we look at information that we can get. So we can see. You don't put the information in. I'm not saying you can say daughter.
Yeah, no.
But we can know. What I'm saying is that we can know. What I'm saying is that we can possibly find out people living it. Doesn't say that it's 14. Doesn't say that they are under 18. So we can make some assumptions on that as marketers about how we approach, what channel and where we're looking at that, because that person did not put in that data because they were too busy or weren't the right person. We as marketers, we as help you and the dealer being able to look at that bucket and say, wait a minute, Jason has a family, and in this family he has multiple kids, and in this family his needs, and potentially he lives in an income area that is X, and so therefore this is the needs of what his needs are. And maybe the type of message that we're saying is maybe they're going off to college soon, so maybe we need to be thinking about what type of messaging around we need to send to the Jason Rices of the world, and who meet his what's called a persona. So now we're getting into deeper dives in areas, but the persona of information is how does my persona look across my dealership by my marketplace, and how am I attacking that marketplace, and how am I managing to get similar people that are my A customers? How do I rank up in my database of information, and what is the process for handling this? So it is a process about it, but it's more than just a sales process. It starts in the sales. How are we treating people? What are we looking for? What's the follow-up? What is the information? How do we desk a deal? What is it that we expect? Is there a handoff to service? Are the information? Is there follow-up after that? Because the goal is retention, absorption into that service area, right? Yeah. Because that is what turns on and pays the bills at a dealership too. So if you look at it, sales is like, I've always heard the expression that that's my plane money. You know what I mean? So here's all my money that I make on the sales side. I think that's all those extra things. But service also drives the customers and helps you make that money because the people repeat and buy cars if they're treated well.
Yep. And then, I love this conversation because, again, I kind of start out with the fact that, hey, if you got a basic foundation, here's some, next level stuff. But then we even take the conversation where you can even go so much deeper. So even that good dealer that's already doing a decent job at marketing, you can just start fine tuning this whole thing down if you really wanted to. So part of that, I do like for you guys to mention, all right, we spewed a lot of this stuff out and saying, it could be, it starts blowing my mind and it starts, I overwhelmed. So let's simplify it back down. What type of packaging, let's say for Three Birds, okay, and let you do a little bit of a sales pitch here. How can you help a dealer then that is maybe already good and wants to get to that next level? What do they got to do, and what does maybe Three Birds can help them put this all together to make it happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. Allowing us to go into that. The way we bundle up our products kind of specific to the area of the business. So we have a bundle built. We have a bundle built for sales. Our email, our marketing in that bundle is promoting the inventory, the landing pages on the website, model specific more built around. More built around. We also have one built for service. We also have one built for service. The dealer's like, hey, I got sales covered. Hey, I got sales covered. I need some help over here. I need some help over here in service. We have one for that. We're going way deeper than just saying, all right, here's a list. Let me drop an email. We focus more on consumer intent, flat out demographic data, and car. So you own this car, within the next year. Anyone can do that. But our platform allows us to actually take all the interactions and engagements from that consumer based on what they click on, and either follow up with a follow-up message, provide that as a phone list to the dealer, even shoot it out to a direct mail house. So it's more about listening to the customer and saying, hey, they engaged in this trade-in button. That means they're interested in what the value of their car is worth, maybe interested in buying a new one. Well, how do we handle that? How do we do that? So, and we kind of started this conversation about leads, and all right, we all know website leads are good, third-party leads are good, phone calls are good, but we can actually provide a slightly different level of lead that's more about like, hey, this consumer engaged with this piece of content. Well, what does that tell us? And how can we follow up with them, uniquely and differently?
Yeah. But it also sets up so much more. So we can set off that engagement. We can set up a chain of events that happen that, depending on the workflow structure. So retargeting comes off of this. So here it is, a way to bring SEM. I think SEM is an interesting product on the Tier 3. I'm a big believer of displaying retargeting on Tier 3. And this is an area that we can make some inroads as far as discussing. I want to retarget the customer because I know more information about it. Where are they going? What is the information about it? Are they hanging out on ESPN? Are they going to Yahoo? Are they going off to CNN? Where are they going? Or where is their lifestyle that I can help retarget, because the messaging or the image that I'm bringing up can be more relevant to what their needs are. So I'm speaking to the customer in the customer language. I'm listening to them.
Yeah, and that's the. I think you hit on that when we talked to Digital Dealer, and what I liked about it, and again, going back to CRM being one-dimensional, like I could put a customer in a process, and I can see if they opened the email or we left a message, but that's about it. But you're talking even a deeper dive of bracketing this thing out. The way I look at it is saying, okay, if they read the email or if they clicked on the campaign, shoot them like a drag and drop, shoot them down here, do a phone call, do an email. If they don't open that email, shoot them over here and then shoot them over here. Now, if they don't click on it, then move them to this part. And if they don't click on it, then send this email or that phone call. So you guys can do not just here, put them in a 30-day process, send this email, see if they read it and follow up. This is, okay, if they did read it, it's one process. If they read it and clicked, it's another process. If they didn't read it at all, it's another process. Or, you guys can bracket that all out on the marketing part, again, to customize where that customer is in their research process, right?
Absolutely. So my kids play video games. My son plays video games. My son plays video games. So if you look at some of the basically have the games. They basically have the games that start, and then you finish one screen, and then you finish one screen, and you move on to the next level, and you move to the next level, and you make. What's the difference of that of a consumer lifestyle? So if you look at that, now a lot can happen in that game area that you're playing. But what you're doing is there comes a point where in the end of that segment, somebody goes into the end of that segment, goes into the next 20 million things happening in one segment. 20 million things happening in one segment, and then they reach the next part of my game that I got to go part of my game that I got to go for the life cycle of the vehicle. It's where it's the consumer and what's the experience, because consumer and what's the experience. But the key thing is, if you lose contact with somebody, you're going to lose contact. You're going to lose contact. And why that's important is because you don't want to want your consumers who you're in with the lost people. In with the lost people. Just blasting messages out there doesn't make sense, because then all of a sudden, are you really listening to them? Are you listening to what I want and what the needs are of that consumer then? Your best customer, you're kind of screwing over if you're doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we have to look at, and we have to say, wait a minute, I'm engaging with this customer. This customer's engaging with me. This customer's a fan of mine. I want to make sure that I keep them a fan. Retention.
And whatever way they need it, either by email, by socially, by whatever their habits are, right then?
Yes. Well, the channel of communication is key. We had an example. We were trying to get a hold of somebody. We called, we emailed, and then I was like, hey, Leighton, send her a text. And instantly they reply. And it's just like, their email's clogged up, the voicemail's full, they don't check them, but text was instant. So it's like, it's all about kind of finding that pocket, where that customer's going to engage.
And with millennials nowadays, you don't know where they're going to communicate from. So therefore, you have to be open to many channels, and they're the ones that are going to be driving the car purchases of the future. And so that's important to be able to understand that, being able to talk in an area that you understand and understand that process. I mean, like for example, if I owned a dealership today and I were marketing, and I'm not talking from a Three Birds perspective, I was just looking at channels of marketing, I would be betting on not only, I think email is still a great way to buy it, but email is a great way to get results. Email is a great way to see the numbers. Well, let's take email out for a second. Well, let's take email out. One area right now today where I do a lot of advertising, I would do Facebook advertising. It comes off an email address, right? So that's why it's really important. And there's so many other pieces of data. Coupled with other points of data, you can segment your customer base by the persona that you have in the information and dig into these little teacups through Facebook with the type of advertising you're doing and really start speaking to people. You can also conquest that way.
Sure.
So this is a way to start saying, wait a minute, I can sit there and go, and it's inexpensive in relative terms to SEM. And what that's important, because I'm not fighting against the Tier 1 and Tier 2 on the SEM play. I'm going in and I'm managing a process that's bringing me different results because we have people on Facebook. Do I need to be everywhere? No. Don't go wasting looking for the silver bullet. Be where a majority of the people are and spend the time and money where they are. It's like going to the mall. Do I want to go advertise in the mall and set up shop, or do I want to go in the middle of nowhere at times? I want to go where the people are in the mall, and I want to hang out there. I want to set up.
I'll tell you what, Facebook's getting a little spooky, though, because, my wife's shopping for some decoration stuff in the house, been on Pinterest, and next thing you know, she's on her Facebook feed, and there's the same stuff. Or we were talking about a blender. I don't know, maybe she searched for a blender, like the Ninja blender, just something as an example, because I literally did a screenshot and sent it to her today. It's like, look what's on my Facebook, because we were just talking about it, and there's the ad in my listing. And it's like, this is just getting spooky. Can they hear us talking about it? And I think Joe Webb and a couple people out there on socially are talking about how they think the conspiracy out there, they actually can hear you talking and placing these ads in there. But it is that fine-tuned that you can do on Facebook, is as these people are in that zone, looking for a BMW or looking for oil changes, that your ad can be placed right then and there in front of them, and be that.
Well, I would use, what we're seeing is some numbers that are interesting. Conquesting service customers can be rather expensive. So, that's a debate that I don't want to get into right now. But at the same time, what are you spending your bucket of advertising on for? What are you conquesting? The best is to find your people who are going to buy the cars in that scenario on Facebook that are going to be your A players. They're going to come into your shop, and they're going to come into your shop and service your vehicles rather than going and service your vehicles, rather than going and finding somebody who's going to possibly just come in for one service and never. What is the expense of that? So I'd rather spend for the A people. I'd rather spend for the A people than spending for the F customers, than spending for the F customers, the D customers that's never going to come back. But if you look at where the budget, if you look at where the budget, so much money that D customers never coming back. Why are they never coming back? because today, why do you do that? Is because today, traditional advertising, the way we do it, TV, the way we blanketed across everybody. It's just blanketed across everybody. We're going to conquest everybody. You don't have to do that. It's ridiculous. You don't have to do that.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, I just thought about it too. That guy that came 4 hours to buy that rare car you had, are you going to put him through a regular sales follow-up for service follow-up? I mean, that's a totally different, like you said, he's not coming back. He's not getting oil change done there, driving 4 hours. But it's just amazing. We got a few minutes here to wrap up. We dug through a lot. But again, if usually I try to wrap it up, we got a minute or two. What is, that one thing that dealers should take out of this conversation, you think, that will get them, if they're good, to the next level, if they're great, even better?
I think laying that base layer process is key. Like you talked about in your last session. I mean, that's vital. I mean, I always preach people and process. That was absolutely everything we talked about.
Absolutely great.
But then on top of that, there's options out there. Change is available. You don't have to do it the way you've always done it in the past. We're here to offer that. Yeah. So. Think outside the box, and hey, we can make things better for you.
All right, now this is going to air on Monday. This is the Monday before NADA. What's your guys' booth if people are going to be at NADA to check you guys out?
That is a great question.
That's all right.
That
you
is
guys
a
are
great
there.
Question.
We know. I put you on the spot. We only got like 30 seconds here.
Hang on.
Here we go. There you go. There you go. So check out Three Birds at NADA. They'll have a booth. They got VIP passes here. If you guys seen the show, obviously you'll be able to get one of those. And I appreciate your guys' time, Leighton. It was good to catch up. I always love talking to you, and we'll see you there.
Thanks, Jason.
It's our pleasure and great to see you.
Thanks, guys.